The only way to tell where the streets had been was downtown, where the bent and fallen streetlights marked the paths. Around 9:30 p.m., a man came into the hospital asking for help. He said they'd heard a voice under the rubble and needed someone to dig him out. I quickly volunteered. A few blocks away, we found the spot where they had heard the voice, a little boy trapped beneath the ruins. His cries were so faint that we almost couldn't believe he was still alive. The debris was piled so high, it seemed impossible to reach him without heavy machinery. But we had nothing, just our hands and a small shovel that broke not long after we started. I kept worrying that I might be standing on top of him, crushing him further without even knowing it. By then, everyone was still terrified of more earthquakes. As we dug, a tremor shook the ground, and more pieces of the house came crashing down. We were back where we'd started. If the tremor had been any stronger, we would have been buried too. All over the city, you could hear faint cries from beneath the rubble, patches of voices scattered through the night. But as long as we could hear this little boy, we kept digging. Even though it felt hopeless, none of us could walk away. We worked slowly, carefully, with nothing but our bare hands. We uncovered bodies. First an old man, then a man and woman tangled together. People dragged them away without a word. Keep digging. Finally, after 90 minutes, we found the boy's hand. It was another hour before we uncovered his head. We had to dig around him delicately, like we were excavating dinosaur bones. By the time we pulled him out, it was around 12:30 a.m. He was no more than 5 years old. The only thing that must have kept him alive was his will to live. His little body was packed so tightly in the rubble, it was as if he had been poured into cement. We couldn't figure out how he had been breathing. He had a broken leg and his wrist was swollen, but he was alive. When we lifted him out, people cheered. They hugged him and cried, clinging to him like he was their own. In that moment, we all felt connected. Everyone had lost someone. There must have been thousands more trapped like that little boy, crying out in the dark, waiting for someone to find them. For days, people kept digging. But eventually, the voices stopped. Everyone had dug for a loved one and come up empty. It was as if they were saying, even though I couldn't save my child, at least we saved someone's child.